Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Anime Rest Stop 45 Podcast. We go long, we go short, talking about all things fun in the world of anime. It has been a long time since we've had this lovely podcast. I am the founding father. My name is Chris. Hi, how you doing, everybody? Um, you know, Lots of explaining to do. So first and foremost, thank you for your your viewership, your your comments uh, across the board, be it on our Facebook, Twitter, Twitch page, or even in person. Thank you for all the years and continued support as we continue to celebrate our 10th anniversary. In short, ARS is fine. ARS is fine. That being said, let's catch up on some things. Well, like everything else, we are still in the midst of a pandemic, and this pandemic, unfortunately, has really manifested into a different form. However, you know, we've been able to persevere as a collective and focus on some things. Um, it's been kind of tough, especially with a little thing called life for everyone. Thinking back to Anime Rest Stop's origin, it's been well over 10 years since we started and going on our 11th year. And so many of our comrades as a collective have gone to have some great careers and other callings. And so it gets, it gets a little bit tough to get people together. But whenever we do, it forms like Voltron, and it's so awesome. Or Robo, whichever combining mecha you prefer. That being said, let's look at what's happened lately. Well, to the shock and awe of everyone, Otakon happened. Otakon 2021, emanating from Washington, D.C., took place now as of this recording 2 weeks ago, and really brought some light to people's lives in a time where there's a lot of darkness. And to the credit of not just the staff at Con and those who pretty much who ran Con in the office, but to that of the attendees, those who attended the Con day in, day out, did in fact adhere to the safety guidelines placed down to assure people's safety during these troubled times. I myself happened to be in the area. Actually, I was actually working that day, and I saw the familiar sight of cosplayers and con attendees, and the warm and fuzzies came in for a brief moment, and I thought, oh. And in that stream, I was invited by none other than the Harvester, who is Anime Rest Stop's current leader, as well as Deckard Bane. You know him as Bane the Tech, and had a chance to have a reunion. Some of the best moments, ladies and gentlemen, are not caught on film. Some are, but a lot of them don't. But that was definitely one of them for sure. It has been about 2 years or so. There's been 2 years at that point since seeing them, and certainly a few others in ARS. And I'd like to be able to remedy that very, very soon, should things allow. But we're still gonna get together to bring the absolute best to you as best we can, given schedules, given capacity. So we ask that everyone have patience with us, and thank you for the support. If anything, there's something to leave behind in this as a quote. Every shut eye isn't sleep, and every goodbye isn't gone. Take that for what it's worth, folks. So Otakon had a lot of surprises, fair share of guests that showed up, including our buddy over at Denpa, Ed Chavez. Very much shout out to him and his efforts with Denpa as that company continues to grow and become something within the manga industry, especially in this period for manga and anime to boot. We also saw Discotek. Discotek had a great showcase this year, great panel with a lot of things rolling about. COVID-19 is still around, but there are some glimmers, at least in the anime licensing scape, that, hopeful. So Discotek rolled out as one of those hopefuls, Ronin Warriors on Blu-ray with the added bonus of the original English dub, the English dub that was aired back in the 90s for Ronin Warriors, originally in Japan as Samurai Troopers, but was localized here as Ronin Warriors. So you'll get to hear the likes of many, voice acting legends in that dub. Mark Hildreth, Scott McNeil, among many others. That is something to look forward to in 2022 from Discotek. Definite win for them. Of course, the dub has its run on stream on Amazon and other streaming services, but people will be able to actually own Ronin Warriors dubbed. Once again, it's been a while since the Bandai Entertainment release of that, which, if you go on eBay, goes for ridiculous, or as Justin would put it, redonkulous money. Another feat, simply considered the impossible has now been possible. It's now possible. It's coming, and that is Gunbuster, the original Gunbuster OVA series. The OVA that it's not the first OVA ever. That honor goes to Dalos, but Gunbuster is one of the premier OVA series that popularized that format. If it wasn't for Gunbuster as a series, there's a lot of things that you don't get. Without Gunbuster, you don't get the Gainax pose. Without Gunbuster, Gainax as a studio doesn't go on to have further success. Without Gunbuster, there is no Nadia. Without Gunbuster, there's another mecha series that does not happen, and we will certainly talk about that later on in the show. Gunbuster is very pivotal to anime history, especially looking back, now from the 80s up. Definitely worth it. Buy the Blu-ray when it hits. Definitely keep your eyes out for that one. That is a gem. And that's only just two of the many announcements from Discotek. Definitely check out their site. Loads of stuff from them. Certainly give them a nod tell them we sent you. Good times there. But Otakon was a success, to the surprise of everyone. Um, if anything, we're certainly going to see some other events occur, of course, given particular standards. We're actually going to have a guest on that particular topic little down the road as time permits to give us a forecast of what that looks like moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, as manga and anime have progressed immensely, there's still nods to the past, and still some things that are left, been unfinished. That certainly are being remedied, and I think that comes in the form of for Bleach. Bleach is a series, gets a one shot that is now on the Viz app, and pretty much it follows everything post the final manga arc for Bleach. So after the 1,000-Year War, and the epilogue that was seen in the novels, that we get to see, hey, what has Ichigo and pals been up to since the end of Bleach? What is going on? What new looming threat is over the horizon? So if you're a fan of 2000s shonen, and particularly of the Holy Trinity, that third of the Holy Trinity, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, you're a fan of Bleach, you owe it to yourself. Myself personally, I owe Bleach a lot. Tite Kubo's great artwork, his flair for design and action. Without Bleach, I wouldn't have met a certain old otaku of the mountain. And in essence, ARS wouldn't have been, in ways, a lot of ways. So glad to see Bleach come back. Hopefully that's more of an indicator of things to come, given how Bleach's anime wrapped up. Hopefully that this will be the final parameter as to, okay, let's roll out, the final arc of the anime or a movie, something to, give the fans some finality here. Of course, I say finality, and another topic rolls around here since it's been some time. Berserk gets a memorial chapter. The editors of the late Kentaro Miura have decided to do a tribute chapter. I think that's very appropriate. It is this podcaster's opinion that the story of Berserk and the revelations of Berserk, with Guts and his adventures, whatever was to come of that, certainly the only person that knows is Miura himself, who is no longer with us. If anything, I think Berserk, joins Gwyn Saga in the same regard, as Gwyn Saga's creator passed away before her time, and before finishing. So I think it's it's kind of ironic that those two share that same destiny, and left a profound impact on the industry in that regard. True works of art, both of them, and certainly Berserk's got a legacy that will live on for sure. Not just in terms of the story, but also the person behind the story, and Miura and his altruism towards his editors and staff. It will be interesting to see what comes of that memorial chapter. speaking of chapters, of course, we're always seeing all the time manga sales and anime adaptations. Of course, now we're seeing so many different titles get adapted left and right, and the common trend is typically um, it's usually difficult to find the first volume of a manga. Certainly, once that's been taken and announced, hey, it's getting anime, everybody flocks in now, which is a thing, especially when a series has hype. So, most recently it's been Chainsaw Man. This year we got Please Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nakatoro. Um, Recently announced Love of Kill, which looks very interesting, but I can't find the first volume to save my life. And of course, the anticipated Komi Can't Communicate. It's coming out very soon. I believe it's actually due in the fall season. And you have what's running currently, Kageki Shoujo, which very anticipated titles, and it's always the back and forth of manga and comics, which is funny because manga, translates as pretty much comics. So it's Japanese comics and American comics, which most people stereotype as superhero, which there's more to comics than just superheroes. If you've, taken a look at Amazon and just browse, or Comixology in particular, which is owned by Amazon, or you've watched the show and have heard the analysis of one Troy Jeffrey Allen. So, which shout outs to Troy and his efforts for the late MF Doom. That there's a wide world of comics out there, and there's, instead of having these cottage markets of, let's pit this one against this one because we need the drama, because drama creates clicks, and especially with so much negativity in the world, and there's a lot of it, and people go to this stuff to escape that. Typically do. There's enough room for everybody to have everything. Enough room. As anyone who's been a fan of anime and manga for quite some time can tell you, yeah, there's enough room to have all of it. So why don't we just get along with that? But if anything, a lot of really sound series coming out. Some are out now. In fact, Netflix, for the anime side, rolled out a few things of interest. Certainly Shaman King 2021. We have Darwin's Game hit on Netflix recently. And that one had, pretty good talk about it. No Harvesters following that. And the Kenshin films, the final Kenshin movie, and of course Kenshin, the beginning, both hit. For live action takes of the legendary Rurouni Kenshin series. So a lot of things in the queue, a lot of things to enjoy. I think the next title that actually hit was a surprise even to me. Just watching, I was perusing the antiquated element. Well, shouldn't say that, but this classic thing called television. And so I have this box, and outside of playing games, I will occasionally watch things on my TV. Outside of just using it as a particular projector for Blu-rays and everything else, there's actual programming there. And perusing channels, I saw this ad for Fena, Pirate Princess, and I found myself quite intrigued. The animation looked great. Just this fire on this pirate ship, and just lays out the story. And then I see it's a collaboration between a Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. And I was like, oh, wow, this looks interesting. Gonna have to put this on the list. So as of this recording, Fena Pirate Princess is on Crunchyroll to actually watch. If anything, it is the creation of one Kazuto Nakazawa, and Nakazawa has quite the history as far as things go. He's been around. He has a history between his key animation work on a little OVA called Angel Cop once upon a time to his work on Blood Plus. He's got a range of things. He's been around quite some time, including handling a few things for the Fatal Fury series, the adaptations of Fatal Fury 2, The New Battle, and Fatal Fury the Motion Picture, among many other things. So, I think this is not just in very good hands. I think this is going to be great. So definitely going to check this out, and certainly talk about it, as it's got few parties of interest tied not just to Kazuto himself. You have production IG involvement with Maki Tarashima Furuta, and of course Michael Centerclass and Stephanie Shea, who are both at this point definitely legends in the voice acting circle, and have done some very good things. So it's got some pretty good ingredients. I want to see the final product. So definitely going to check that out, and I think everyone else should check it out as well. With Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll just got brought up in the midst, of course we know Crunchyroll it's been confirmed. No more hesitation, no more madness there. We know that Crunchyroll is in full under Sony, under Funny. It's pretty much been absorbed into the mix of that entity. So that's confirmed. Of course, when it rolled out, some time ago, we kind of figured that was the case, but normally with business, there has to be a full confirmation. Now there's full confirmation to that. Very interesting times, especially given matters for Adult Swim. As we know, Time Warner has gone through some changes. So the fact that we still got this title is very interesting. So definitely keep your eyes out for it, folks. Definitely keep your eyes out for it. Now, we can't talk about spectacle and not talk about this. So remember that title I talked about earlier with Gunbuster? If you don't, without Gunbuster, you don't get certain things. So the title I was talking about is, of course, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now, Neon Genesis Evangelion has a long history. I am not going to detail that in this episode because this is a catch-up. But Amazon did something right, and I think everyone should give a nod of respect to that. To the shock of everyone, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, after so many delays, after COVID, after so many different things that have delayed this film, hindered it from release overseas, finally get it. And Amazon is the one that decided to be the lead, the exclusive licensor, for stream, to the shock of everyone, and gave it full promotion, put it at the top of Prime. I was taken aback as one who has been a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion since the heyday of ADV films and the white tapes back when it was coming out. And I said tapes, not DVDs, VHS. So that kind of gives you an idea. So it runs deep. And of course, as news was revealed by different sources, shout out to Ava Monkey out there for definitely his efforts, that not only is this coming out on Amazon, but apparently not only did it come out over Amazon Stream, but the original voice cast, the remnants of the original voice cast were brought back to not only do this film, but the other rebuild films as well within the tetralogy. So Evangelion 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 3.0 plus 1.0 all went through redubbing process. But especially 3.0 plus 1.0, since that's the latest one. And the film came out, and I've never seen, and especially for online fandom and fandom as a whole now, with everything going on in the world, that it's one of the few instances where I've seen people from different ranges happy. I'm happy for everyone, genuinely, in the midst of it. I am happy, especially for Amanda Wynn Lee, Tiffany Grant, Spike Spencer, Allison Keith, Jason Lee. I'm happy for all of them. I'm happy for the new staff that got a chance here. That were quite solid. I'm happy for other returning talent to the mix of it, especially after so much that happened with apparently what happened with the Netflix dub, and we will talk about that on a later show, and that is a promise. I'm glad that good came out of this. I'm glad that something positive came out of this. I'm glad the fans got what they wanted. I'm glad that the actors got their chance to come back and do something great, and to see that appreciation in full by just people saying just thank you for coming back, and thank you to Amazon for making it all happen and balancing parties out. Of course, not hard to do when you're a $1 trillion company, but the fact that they did it at all, when they didn't have to, they could have just said, "Oh no, we after anime strike, in that effort, like, hey, maybe we should back off the anime some and not do this." But instead, they decided to go full in, and they were all in. They put all the chips in, and it certainly benefited them and benefited the fans, benefited the community. Definitely a great time to be a fan, despite everything. This was a great moment. This is what the fandom's about, stuff like that. And speaking of stuff like that, Evangelion, of course, the Ava news doesn't stop, because G Kids in all the anime, the UK licenser, decided on both US and UK, let's release, since we licensed Ava, we're gonna make this announcement here, but we're gonna have a website for it. So they had this countdown, and lo and behold, limited edition Neon Genesis Evangelion Blu-ray sets, Blu-ray collection, actually, for the entire series. In this collection, along with the original films, Death and Rebirth and End of Evangelion, including the classic dub, the classic ADV dub, the true dub, as some would put it, and then you have the Netflix dub as well, with its respective, with its translation this translation more keen to the creator's intent. So you have two versions of the show in one, as this podcaster hoped for that with an anniversary approaching and everything else, you have two generations of fans. Why not do both? They did it. So, grand news. Well, what's the problem? So it sold out in 8 hours. So here's the set. It's going for $275 a pop and sells out 5,000 limited copies, which they stated on the website. 5,000 copies, limited edition, sold out in 8 hours. An immense record. Immense record for both G-Kids and all the anime. And overall for Evangelion. The fact that Evangelion is alive and well in 2021. And as I stated on social media, it is too great to ignore. Because there are tons of people that did not get a chance to buy this. Of course, there is a particular strong sentiment that there's something forthcoming on August 30th. So to stay tuned to social media, particularly to G-Kids and all the anime for more details. Could be a second run of limited edition, could be a standard version of it, and I have no doubt a standard will eventually come. But more to see from that side. But no, Evangelion is well in 2021. And fortunately, as we're doing this episode and catching up on things, have to acknowledge some unfortunate matters here, some passings within the midst of things. So Fred Ladd passed away this year, passed away not too long ago. Michael Toole has a fantastic article on ANN chronicling this man's life, his contributions to anime as a whole. Without him, there is no basis for Region 1. There is no basis for, without Fred Ladd, there is no basis for someone like Carl Masak. Fred Ladd had an eye for seeing content and being respectful to the creators, and yet understanding children's television. When you look at the properties that he was attached to, with Astro Boy, Kimba, the White Lion, a lot of history there, a lot of respect there. Rest in peace to Fred Ladd, and certainly, he's in the history books, a true legend. May he rest in peace. Certainly enough, there's in the midst of things, we have to take time to acknowledge those who came before us, and Fred certainly was one, undoubtedly. And as a news broke as well of another passing, and that is of actor Sonny Chiba, martial arts star, full bravado, the Street Fighter, just a range of Japanese cinema that spanned time and definitely defined a particular generation. I mean, the anti-Bruce Lee, Sonny Chiba. Of course, for a lot of people, his role in Kill Bill is very noted, being the craftsman of the great katana for the bride. Sonny Chiba did a lot in his time. Unfortunately, Sonny Chiba passed away, just days ago from pneumonia as a complication of COVID-19. He was 82. but in that 82 years, lived a heck of a life. I think that's something to definitely take in mind. I mean, surely could have, stayed with us a little longer, but it's unfortunate. But lived a good life, as did Fred Ladd himself, leaving at 94, Fred Ladd. So two great legends in their respective element, gone from us, but left a heck of an impact on this world and their professions. And certainly they'll be taught for sure, for years to come, undoubtedly. That said, folks, we're going to take a short break and we're going to return with more things, more details, more fun here at ARS-45. Stay tuned, folks. Hi, everybody. This is the Founding Father here, and if you like to see what some of us are doing when we're not doing ARS-45, there's plenty of ways to catch the ARS crew. So, if you like Deckard Bane and the pizzazz he brings from the technical standpoint, and you enjoy his work in 16-bit sushi, you can check out Deckard Bane at DeckardBane83 on Twitch. Of course, Fudgezilla 00 for his great fighting game antics. You can certainly check him out on Twitch as well. Of course, you're all familiar with Pirate Zaku, who's been a guest of ours. Certainly, you can find him, probably Final Fantasy XIV, doing some great stuff. Also Twitch. And of course, there's one filthy casual that seems to, we haven't seen him in some time, but I heard he's hanging out with 3 angry black people at a particular podcast. Sounds like some interesting things to check out. So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out some of our members on Twitch, and that includes yours truly. If anything, definitely give us a shout out. Certainly appreciate it. Enjoy the show, folks. And we are back, folks. Welcome back to ARS-45 Podcast, and we're getting into some 16-bit news because it's been a while. Let's talk about it. So, Legendary series Shining Force is coming back. Apparently, Sega is just about bringing the old properties back, and kudos to them. So this comes from ANN that reported this news that game developer Hive pretty much announced that it entered into an intellectual property deal with Sega that will allow them to develop and distribute Shining Force titles in services across Asia in the West. So interesting times considering, because there's apparently elements for a smartphone game. Of course, with Panzer Dragoon getting a remake, I mean there's space for that. Shining Force has been around a long time as far as its element of fantasy and this simulation RPG element, which is pretty cool to it. I enjoy that myself as one who plays Super Robot Wars and a lot of like strategy RPG material. So I look forward to this being a thing, because for those who keep track, Shining Force can get pretty pricey, especially Shining Force 3 on the Sega Saturn. Great game, very expensive. See eBay for more details. Speaking of details, fighting games have been, tearing it up, of course, with COVID being a factor. That is put a damper on some of the tourney element of things, but that hasn't stopped new characters and adjustments and patches and the like. So Street Fighter V started rolling out its characters for its final season, which include Oro from Street Fighter 3, Akira from Rival Schools joining Street Fighter 5. Of course, you had Rose from the Alpha series, as well as comical Dan coming back into the fray. You had 12 show up. 12 is pretty much play on 11 in Street Fighter 3. This weird alien creature, shapeshifter, that takes form and does some crazy things. And so there's still one more character, and that character was revealed to be none other than MMA fighter Logan Paul-esque, perhaps a hint of Conor McGregor, sort of. I don't see it, but it's there with the tattoos. Luke. Luke is the latest character to join Street Fighter V. He's the final character, and apparently a preview of Street Fighter 6. Different character of sorts. I look at him and I get a lot of Alex vibes from him, and that unfortunately isn't good. The last time that Street Fighter had a character that wanted to rival Ryu or be his equal in some way or surpass him, Alex was a pegged one for 3, and it didn't quite work out that way, as 3's prototype didn't work out. They had to get Ryu and Ken in, and by the time we got the third strike, it was Ryu, Ken, Akuma, and Chun-Li that were part of that mix with all the other characters. So I don't know what this means. Gameplay look good enough, but we have to see more. And if this is a preview of Street Fighter 6, we have to see what rolls out of that. Of course, Guilty Gear Strive doing great for Arxis. Jacko was it's the latest character to get announced, and she'll be coming out shortly, very shortly, as things come about here. I believe she is due actually next week, and this is after Dickinson was released about really earlier this month, if I'm not mistaken, and has been on a tear. But just looking at the characters in story mode, just you can kind of see, okay, this character looks like will be playable, that character. So it's a crazy time for Guilty Gear, but good time for Guilty Gear, if any. Really enjoying Strive. I think if for those who haven't had a chance to play it, it's fairly good. It's still growing. It's still in its first first season. For those who are kind of like, oh, I'm bored. No, just stay a while. Give it a chance. It'll work out. Speaking of Guilty Gear, because everyone's asked this question. Well, why is it that everyone gets to show up except my favorite character? The the full figured samurai woman. The one with the one arm who does the cool stuff. Well, look no further. Viken is coming. Not to Guilty Gear yet, but she's going to make a stop in the latest Samurai Showdown game. The good one from about 2 years ago. That's very solid. That people don't seem to want to play as much, and it's kind of unfortunate because Samurai Showdown is quite good. Samurai Showdown 2019 is good. Take that for what it's worth. It's solid. People should play it. give it a chance. Speaking of giving things chances, a brand new game is coming up called Blazing Strike, and it's apparently, according to articles reporting on this game, that it's a Street Fighter inspired game, and just from the design, everything it has, it has a particular aesthetic to it. The developer is Rare Breed, makes games, and the publisher is Axis Games. If you remember Axis from, some of the good times, the Blaze Blues of the world and everything in between. So but Blazing Strike is promising to apparently bring that old school 2D flair to the mix. That is apparently it wants to bring some old vibes back and have fun. If anything, I wish it luck. Looks great. Hopefully people will give it a chance. Given how things have been and how competitive gaming has been, hopefully that it will have a shot. Speaking of shots, Evo 2021. Now, a lot of people haven't really talked about Evo 2021. I guess because with everything else going on in the world, it just kind of, for some people, it kind of slipped their minds. Not as much talk about Evo 2021. Like, what happened? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Evo was a talked about deal. Even to the likes where you had, pro wrestlers like Kenny Omega and Xavier Woods kind of, showing up at game tourneys and, and talking about their own experiences and gaming. So it's like, why didn't anyone talk about Evo 2021? Oh, that's right. Pandemic. So it was online. And of course, with the online element being a thing, it has its own challenges. Of course, there are those that decided not to participate, those who did. So little fanfare, but fanfare nonetheless. And I see those who are trying a lot of side tourneys, to their credit. A lot of good games being hosted, and it's just, with Sony at the helm of it, just nobody's talking about it. And and for those who wonder like certain things, well, with Sony running it, it was never going to be the same because Smash Brothers isn't there. And Smash Brothers is the draw. It's like Sony was never going to. Here's the thing. So when a corporate entity buys in, that usually is the indicator. Sony was never going to give Nintendo the platform to compete against them. That was never going to happen. And given some unfortunate news with the Smash community over time, that even Nintendo has to judge its steps moving graciously forward. So there you go. Evo 2021 is a thing. But definitely, I think if like anything else, if you enjoy fighting games, love fighting games, the competitive element, get into them, play them, make your own scene if you have to. If Evo's not your thing, now, then make your own scene. It's as simple as that. And you can find people to, on your level to play. And that's not denigrating anyone's skill. That's talking about just social settings in general. So, Evo 2021, folks, it's around. It's a thing. Very few people are talking about it. Some are competing in it, but I just don't see a lot of talk about it. And I guess you could say that's an indicator of things. Meanwhile, Final Fantasy 16. Apparently, Final Fantasy 16 is hype. How hype is it? It is so hype, apparently, that it has taken the number one spot as far as Famitsu magazine goes, as far as its like anticipated title coming up, compared to a certain Tales game that is due. So, and that was reported by Gaming Bolt, apparently, that Final Fantasy 16 has overtaken Tales of Arise in the Famitsu charts for the most highly anticipated upcoming games. And that's a pretty good element considering Final Fantasy and its great legacy that it has. Final Fantasy has had to compete against a lot of different properties over time, and there was a point where the Tales games were the big games, and then between that the Shin Megami Tensei games, the Persona games, and arguably the Persona games are still massively popular. Now, Final Fantasy 16 doing so, great job. Final Fantasy 16 has a recipe for success, given its director, the same director as Final Fantasy 14, that has done exceedingly well, has beaten out World of Warcraft as far as like an MMO that people can rejoice in. Very interesting times. Very interesting times. And speaking of times, the time just keeps rolling and the titles just keep rolling. So we had some releases coming out across the board. So you know wherever you buy your games, be it GameStop, be it PlayAsia, be it Amazon, wherever you go for your purchases, be on the lookout for this stuff because it is coming. They're just like a faucet. So, Tales of Arise coming out soon, and this is in no order particularly, but might be. Actually, it is. September up to December. So, Tales of Arise, Lost Judgment, WarioWare Get It Together, Melty Blood Lumina, Metroid Dread, Super Robot Wars 30th, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming. We still have that Steam Deck, that sold out immensely. That's still a thing. And people are steadily looking forward to it. Undoubtedly looking forward to it. So you gotta take that in with the fact that PC gaming is in your hands more than ever before. The quote unquote Switch killer, as fans have claimed it. Yep, be on the lookout for that. Definitely be on the lookout. A host of others that are due. We have Fatal Frame, a new Fatal Frame game, or a Fatal Frame, new Fatal Frame release, I should say. Not so much a new game, but new release coming to the Switch. Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater coming due, and that's going to be interesting for all the horror fans out there. So definitely want to check out your retailer, be it online, physical, for all these titles. Now, of course, for Melty Blood, Super Robot Wars, and Fatal Frame, definitely check out, PlayAsia and some of the others, as those are specific to particular regions. To make note, for everything else, you have your GameStops, your Amazons for your gaming needs. Now, mind you, there's some 1UP Arcade releases too that are coming due, with the Big Blue Machine coming out, and the Simpsons game, the Simpsons arcade game, coming due late this year. So good time to be a gamer. with that said, folks, we'll take a short break. And from there, we're going to get into some other news bits that we may have missed out on during our absence. Stay tuned. Hi, folks. This is Founding Father speaking. As one who has endured COVID-19 along with my family, I can say that COVID-19 is in fact real. And COVID-19 is something that one doesn't want to experience. I encourage those who have not considered it to really look into matters for your safety, to be vigilant in your safety, whichever path you choose, whether it's to mask or vaccinate. Be safe out there. Look after yourself. Look after your family. Be mindful and be considerate of others. Thank you. And we are back, folks. Thank you for joining. Once again, ARS-45 in the building, and we are talking Geek Gashapon news. So, in the first round of things, of course, the Black Widow movie came out. And the Black Widow movie was polarizing in another way. Where some would be like, oh, this is controversial, this is edgy. This one, for some, just was okay. And being an okay Marvel movie in this day and age is not good. So, especially is not good when you have contractual obligations that are placed in that you don't honor, allegedly. And so Scarlett Johansson proceeded with a suit against Disney. Disney and Scarlett Johansson, who plays Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, had a falling out. And apparently Disney's just washed their hands with the matter. They had a rebuttal to the suit, claiming, of course, that very insensitive considering the pandemic. And, so the two parties just not getting along, not seeing eye to eye. Very, very crazy time, for sure. Since then, apparently there's so much going on in the Disneyscape between Anthony Mackie signing on for Captain America 4, that was considered, and apparently Riri Williams, the Ironheart character, is showing up, but not in an Ironheart movie, not in a Iron Man movie, but apparently he's going to be in Black Panther. So, a lot of crazy things going on in the House of Mouse. A lot of crazy things. Meanwhile, across the street, Warner Brothers, you have the Suicide Squad movie hit on HBO Max in theaters. Another polarizing film, like Black Widow, that was in theaters as well as Disney Plus. Now, of course, the difference was Warner pretty much gave that film to the fans. Disney charged a premium, so just the little differences there. Suicide Squad, apparently, right film, right formula for those. For some, just the timing's off. The fierce anti-hero, shades of gray element. This is pretty much James Gunn with no filter. And take that for what it's worth. Some say, well, what about Guardians? Guardians had Office involvement along with James Gunn's involvement, so there was a balance. Suicide Squad took characters and said, "Hey, let's have fun," and that's what happened here. I enjoyed the film myself personally. Um, Very fun, and I enjoyed Black Widow for what Black Widow was, and taking that for a grain of salt. I think we're at a point with all of the big superhero films where there's not so much fatigue. I think there's expectations. So the expectation is this is supposed to be a big film that's supposed to change my life and everything else. Not everything can be Infinity War and Endgame. And I think people have to readjust their expectations to a particular point. To a point. That's just my opinion. This is this podcaster's opinion. In terms of entertainment matters. Now, of course, another news element that showed up, and this was a surprise to me. So it is the 30th anniversary of Japanese rock band L'Arc-en-Ciel. 30 years of great music. So L'Arc-en-Ciel has done some great openings for anime over time. So whether you're a fan of Full Metal Alchemist or Gundam 00, always a good time when L'Arc-en-Ciel is on the track. Yukihiro, great great talent, great drummer. Remember him from the Zykill days. And I was a big fan of Zykill because of their involvement with Fatal Fury 2. Of course, when you look at L'Arc-en-Ciel, you have to look at Hyde, who is fantastic. Hyde, of course, also leads Vamps. So, very talented artists. Changes with the times, changes with the element. Always a fun time. Great band, good times across the board. Anything you can check out L'Arc-en-Ciel's music, Apple Music, Spotify, I believe YouTube Premium, and of course wherever you find quality music. Of course, shout out to CD Japan as well in terms of your J-Rock and J-Pop needs. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to conclude this episode of ARS-45 Podcast. Went a little over, but that's okay because we have to catch up sometimes. If you don't catch up, how are you going to keep up? So if anything, stay tuned throughout this podcasting network for some interesting programming coming along, some reviews, and just a couple of interesting things to look forward to. On that note, I am the Founding Father. This is not my foundry, but you can find me at Founders Foundry on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter, ARS Founder. And you have a question, comment, anything from the Anime Rest Stop, you can check us out on Facebook. And we do have an email. That is a thing. It's theanimereststop@gmail.com. Definitely want to do that. Chime us sometimes. It's fun, I promise. Be safe, everyone. Thank you. And join us as we kick off our 11th year of bringing you fun and excitement in the world of anime, manga, video games, and overall fun in the geek spectrum. Be safe, folks. Be safe.